Okay, today I want to explore a couple of things in the key of G. One thing is I want to talk a little bit about rhythm. And I want to do a really simple thing here first. And I made a little loop around this, and I'm going to get to some lead stuff. So what I'm first starting out with is just a real simple, what I call a partial. And that's basically the first finger on the 3rd fret of the D string. The second finger is on the 4th fret of the G string. And what's really cool about this is you can, without moving that shape, changing the shape, I should say, you move up and down the neck a little, as I'm about to show you, you can get a lot of mileage out of it. So if I'm here on this, that's a G7th sound, right? Okay, and then if I go down a half a step, which is 1 fret, that's a 4 chord. That equals a C chord. Right back to the 1. So you got a 1, 4, 1. Follow me so far? So you got this, these are the notes. And this shape that I'm showing you doesn't change, except that we move back and forth on the neck. So the 4 chord, that's the 1, 4 chord, and then back to the 1. Then we go back to the 4 and hang out for a minute. I'm doing it slow. And you're gonna hear the loop soon, back to the 1. Now when I go to the 5 chord, ever so easy, half step up. There's your D. Then 1 full step down, which is 2 frets. 1, 2, and back to the 1. Okay, now what you'll hear in the course of this loop is I go into some little more sophisticated chord changes. I actually make a more of a full G7th, which looks like a G power chord, right? You know that one? Just remove your pinky. There's your 7th. F is the 7th. So don't worry about any of that stuff, though. We're not worrying about names or anything. But if you know how to play your G power chord, your bar, and you just remove your pinky, you got a G7, which is a great blues chord. And this is essentially a jump blues. Now I'm going to show you the 4 chord with a few more notes in it. Now you know the C7th, right? So if you play a first position C, and then you put your pinky on the 3rd fret of the G string, you got a C7th. Well, we know that by now, hopefully. Now let's do it with these fingers, though. 2 on the 3rd fret of the A, 2, the 2nd finger. 1st finger, 2nd fret of the D. 3rd finger is on the 3rd fret of the G. Same notes, but different position, different fingers. Now let's tuck this pinky in here and get that 3rd for the D note on the B string, 3rd fret, right? You got a C9, which is a cool little blue jazz chord. Now, when you'll see me doing it, often I'll do it like this. I want to get that high G in there, but not so easy for everybody to get to bar those 3. You got to bend your hand weird. But if you can do that, cool. That's like the James Brown. It's used in funk a lot. Okay, so now we've shown you, we've spelled out our 4 chord. Whether you do it like this, or if you can only get this, that's okay too. But you really want to try and get that note in there and back to that G7th, right? Which I just showed you. Now the next chord is exactly like the C chord that I showed you, but it's just up here on the 5th fret. It's a D chord. Same shape. Okay, so we're repeating the same shape a lot in this. And then back to the C chord, and then back to that G. I don't choose to resolve on this particular little lesson I'm doing. I'm not going to the 5. I think I do it maybe at the end of this loop. But let's not even worry about that, because a lot of times I don't always resolve to the 5. I get a lot of comments on that lately. I've been doing some blues, and they're like, don't forget to go to the 5. Well, you don't have to always go to the 5. You know, sometimes you can just hang at the 1, it's implied. But that's a whole other subject. So here we go. Now what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to play along with my rhythm there in my loop, and you can see where I'm doing. And then I'll play a little bit of lead over the top. I'm not going to get crazy with it. But let's see what it sounds like if I hit my loop. Right? There it is. Half step back. back to the 1, right? Now let's just go half step up. 2 down, 1. Now I'm going to get a little more with the chord. Just what I just showed you, right? To the C, 9. And back to that G. Just doing a real simple rhythm. To the D. And now I'm going to swing it. So obviously we got a little more involved there, but what I wanted to illustrate is how to play over the top of that. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of what I just did. Not a lot, but my emphasis here is on going from a major to a minor scale. And I'm going to try to keep this really simple. I'm not going to get all over up and down and arpeggio. But you'll hear the difference, because with the major scale, like in G, you get notes like, sorry. With the minor, you get, that's the sound of a minor. And the real difference is you got a flatted third. There's your third. B is a third of the G. There's your minor. So you flatten that third. It'll make sense in a second when I'm doing it. So now what I'm gonna do is try to slowly play over the top of it with these changes and see if you notice the difference going from a major to a minor and how it works. I'm gonna play major through the first part, and then when it goes to when it lands on the 4 chord, that C, I'm gonna play. So I'm basically going from this. That note is predominant, and then that's the minor. And I'm going to try to stay right in that wheelhouse for you. And see if you notice how that works with this. So here we go. Here's the loop, and I'll try to talk it through. Here's your major sound. Minor. Again, major. Minor. Major. Major. Minor to major. I'm going back and forth. To minor. Minor. To major. Minor. Major. Now watch this. Major. Minor. 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 Okay, so now I know I went a little crazy there. Please don't Don't hold me to that. But I know I said I was going to keep it simple. But what I wanted you to do more than anything is, I could sit here and show you licks all day long. What I want you to do is use your ears to hear the difference between a major and a minor, to feel it. Because I'm always thinking about how I play these days. And I know at first it's helpful to have lots of different tools to learn. And some of those tools could be something like tabs. There's nothing wrong with tabs. I don't use them. I didn't come up with them. I was already past that when they came to be. And I don't read a lot of tablature for that reason, but it doesn't mean it's not helpful to you. So I say use all the tools in the toolbox for sure. But in this case, I'm wanting to, because I play by ear. I listen a lot. Sometimes if I'm in a jam situation, I won't play anything right away. I'll just listen to the thing go around a couple times so that I can say, oh, okay, all right, I'm hearing that. And then I'll slowly, drift in. I just think that's a good policy in general. What's the old rule is when in doubt, lay out. That goes a long ways with playing with other musicians, which is really the point of this whole thing, I think, is to have fun playing with others. So what I was doing on the major, I was working off these notes, this triad, just a G major triad. And I was getting this in there once in a while. And when I did the minor, I went, you can hear that because you flattened it. And then, by the way, there's no hard rule on this. You can mix it back and forth all the time. You can slur the major minor. It's not like now I'm major, now I'm minor. No. It's and I'll show you that when I play out. But you hear like a lot of jump blues or even like Stevie Ray stuff. And they'll mix it up, Hendrix too. And I think of it kind of like, how would a singer sing in changes? Run around, I ain't doing me no good, I get tired. Tired of Pandu, major minor. Well, there ain't no way around there, no way around. Okay, and that's another thing I do sometimes when I'm trying to calm myself down and not shred too much over songs that don't really want it. I'll think to myself, and I've seen guys do this too a lot. I've seen a lot of players actually do it. Not a lot, but a few. Robert Cray does that. I notice if you watch him playing when he sings, he seems to be singing the notes. He'll be like. Now I can actually do that. George Benson, right? But I think the value of that maybe is that when we're playing lead guitar, there's lead guitar and then there's lead within the rhythm. There's is that lead or rhythm? It's both. I call those interior melodies. And anyway, we have a song where you got. I like that sound a lot. Hendrix did that a lot with. It's like he uses those hammer-ons and everything to do double stops within the rhythm. It's just so effective, and it flows. But I hope I'm not jumping all over too much, because what I really wanted to emphasize in this lesson is just doing a straight up, Chicago jump blues, and how do we get around on that, right? How do you play over that? So what I try to do is rather than think about I'm gonna play a scale, that doesn't work because it sounds like I'm playing a scale. So it's important to learn scales, but at the same time, once we learn them and get a company, are able to accompany ourselves or accompany someone else, with our knowledge of scales and theory, that's great. But then eventually you got to sing a song, as somebody once told me. You got to tell a story, especially with the lead playing. So I think it's important to be deliberate. And the major minor thing, the major, and then go into a minor sound, is one way to look at that. It's not a hard, fast rule. A melody's a melody, right? But I think a strong melody works really well just about any time. Jeff Beck was a great example of that. Man, that guy, he could just flesh out a melody within something like he did a Beatles song, Day in the Life. And God, the way he referred to that melody throughout, and he would bend it to his own liking with the wang bar. But I think there's a lot of power in that. Another guy that does that I've had the good pleasure of playing with a bunch is Carlos Santana. I notice he'll pick out a melody within a song. It might not even be a song he knows, because we were doing one of my tunes actually, and there's a video somewhere of us playing on Te Quiero, which is a song I recorded in Cuba, and he's playing like this strong melody. I thought, well, that's why he's Carlos Santana. He has such an ear for melody that he's able to let the guitar be his voice, I think is what I'm really trying to say. So if I'm playing like this, this kind of stuff, I'm now going to just show you an example, not so much to teach you licks, but to get your ears accustomed to the idea of going for some sort of melody, maybe a recurring theme or whatever, and the idea of major minor in changes. And again, not a hard fast rule, but one that does work, especially if we're doing a standard blues change. Okay, this doesn't work so well if you're doing something jazzy that has a million different changes in it, because it just might not always work. But in a blues format, I think it generally does work. So I'm going to go ahead and play this out now. I know this has been a long lesson, if you'd even call it a lesson, but lately I've been talking to my partner Jason. He said, let's just do some. There's a couple guys that we really love, Jed Hughes in Nashville, and Uncle Larry, Tom Bukovac, and also Guthrie Trapp, who I've had the pleasure of meeting. I don't know Uncle Larry, but I know Jed, and I got the pleasure of meeting Guthrie, and I've been in touch with him over the years. And what these guys share is they're all amazing players, and they all have different gifts. Jed is really subtle and does some beautiful acoustic stuff, but he's got plenty under the hood. And Larry is sort of an in-between. Larry's like really tasty and really inventive, in my estimation. And then Guthrie is just a firebrand, man. The guy just rips, and it's so much fun to watch him play and to see those guys together. As a trifecta, they're just amazing, because they all bring something different to the table, and sometimes it's fun and it's funny, and I think a big part of guitar playing should be certainly having fun, but also being whimsical sometimes. So all that being said, let me take you on a little blues journey here. I'm just going to play you out, and I don't know where it's going to go yet, but here we go. different. That's enough of that. Anyway, that was just me having fun. Sometimes I like to, rather than doing a really strict, straight up lesson, which is really great, I do a ton of them. Sometimes I like to just mess around and play and get you guys familiar with what it feels like to listen for changes, And in the case of a jump blues like that, there are definite set changes in the progression. So for me, it's about kind of getting really comfy with that. And sometimes it's making a loop, for me anyway, and just playing along with it when I'm just sitting around and maybe some ideas come, or if not. But, I figure time spent on the guitar is never wasted, right? Whether you're watching TV or playing for your cat like I do. I don't know where she is. She's around. I have to really discipline her because she knocks my camera around. Many of you have met my cat, Luna. So today was just kind of a crazy Santa Cruz lesson. And thank you for staying with me today, and we'll see you down the road.